It's 6 minutes past 8 here on 101.5. You're listening to the State of Origin SportsFeva special on this Wednesday with Matthew. We're looking time to look at the sides now for State of Origin night. We'll quickly run through them, looking at those Dirty Blues first. Josh Dugan, what a turnaround he's had in 2013. He'll be fullback for the Blues tonight. The wingers will be Brett Morris and Nathan Merritt, making his probably long overdue Origin debut. The centres will be Jennings and Morris. In the halves, Mitchell, Pearce and James Maloney. Maloney 5'8", Pearce halfback. In the back row, Greg Bird, Luke Lewis and Ryan Hoffman. In the front row, Aaron Woods and Paul Gallen. And the hooker will be Robbie Farah. And then off the bench, they've got Andrew Fafita, Trent Merrin, Anthony Watnow and Josh Reynolds. Certainly an impressive-looking side. They did well in Game 1, but Game 2, certainly a different cup of tea. Now, the Queensland side, who have made a few changes, fair to say un-Queensland-like, dropping a couple of players, but still a very impressive side. The boy from Innisfail will be fullback tonight, Billy Slater. The wingers will be Gold Coast boy Darius Boyd, and Brent Tate, of course, a Redcliffe Junior, born in Roma, but grew up in the Deception Bay, Redcliffe area, doing the Moreton Bay region proud. Brent Tate on the wing tonight. In the centres, we've got Greg Inglis. New South Wales tried to claim him, but we call him a proud Brisbane boy. Went to Wavell, stayed high, so we'll claim him. And the Cairns boy, the Cairns kangaroo, Justin Hodges in the centres. The halves tonight will be Jonathan Thurston from Sunnybank and Cooper Cronk from the south side of Brisbane there. And then the Logan Junior, Corey Parker, will be locked forward. Sammy Thaiday from Townsville. And then the Kingaroy Red Ant, Chris Lightning McQueen, will be in the second row. Nate Miles from Gordon Vale up north will be the front row, along with the man from Longreach, Matty Scott. Cameron Smith, another Logan Junior, will be the skipper and the hooker tonight. Off the bench, we've got, he played his junior rugby league right here in the Moreton Bay region, Daly Cherry Evans. Also, Benny Teo, of course, from the south side of Brisbane as well. And then our very own Bribie Island boy, another Moreton Bay star, Matty Gillette, off the bench from Queensland. What an effort, a boy from Bribie growing up to play State of Origin. And then also making his debut tonight, another Logan Junior, Josh Papali. Watch out for him to have a huge game. He is a hard-hitting second row. Really looking for Papali to inject himself off the bench tonight. So an impressive-looking team for the Maroons tonight from right around Queensland, representing our proud state. And I thought it was appropriate for some other Moreton Bay boys to sing this one, You Win Again. That'll be the Mighty Maroons tonight about come 10 o'clock. 13 minutes past 8 here on 101.5. You're listening to the State of Origin SportsFeva special. Time now to talk to our very special guests. Very excited. One of my favourite players growing up. He was a hard-hitting second rower. He joins us on the line. We're talking to Wally Fullerton-Smith. Good morning to you, Wally.
Good morning, Matthew. How you going?
Mate, very good, very excited. Obviously love this time of the year, State of Origin, mate. Obviously holds a very special time in your heart, this State of Origin time of year.
My word, it does. You know, look, basically, as the year unfolds and is building up towards Origin, people are looking at their form and all the rest of it. It was the same back in my day, you know. You want to start the year off well and sort of get things together, and as it builds up towards that Origin selection time, because as you know, mate, if you lose, it's usually a back row or a winger gets dropped, so we have to be on our form.
Exactly right. And take us back, you made your debut in 83, Gator. Take us back to that very first game of State of Origin you played in.
Well, look, actually it was a fantastic experience. In those days it was just a back reserve and a forward reserve. And Brett French was the back reserve. Anyway, Paul McCabe, the Manly second row, got sick the night before, and I thought, geez, there might be a chance of playing here. And this day and age, they get you up in front of all the sponsors' boards, and they ask you serious questions. Well, my day up, the Beeson just poked his head in the door about 4 o'clock in the afternoon and said, "Righto, Gator, you'll be starting tonight." And the New South Wales people didn't really know who I was, but I was in good form and had a good tackling technique, and everything went super well for me. And 24 hours later, I got selected in the Australian team because Les Boyd got suspended for elbowing Darryl Bowman, and that's how it all funny thing happened while I was still thinking about it, was that Toffert Turner rang me as I got back in Britain's Peninsula back then, and they said, Gutty, very good game, mate, you played very well. Mate, the winning bonus for Origin is $180. Mate, you owe $220. I said, oh, gee, how does that work, Tyson? He said, well, you had 8 tickets or 10 tickets of players from the Reckless, coming to the Origin, plus you had them all back to your room for room service and everything, and they all enjoyed themselves. He said, okay, mate, I'll fix it all up for you.
Tosser, he was a great man. Talk to us about Tosser. We lost him in recent years, but he was the heart and soul of that Queensland team for so many years, wasn't he?
He was, but not only was he a good leader, but he was a great mentor. He could sit with anyone and have a chat. He'd sort of sidle up to you, and it was like a second father, really, to a lot of us. And said, mate, how you going? See how you going? Make sure you're on, and you knew where you're at and what position you held within the team, and you'll be confident of your selection in the team, and just go out and do your best. All those nice little sort of nuances that we like to hear. And mate, it was he was one of the, he's sadly missed, but he will never be forgotten in the Queensland Origin environment.
Another man we sadly miss, and you mentioned briefly, I know you consider him a huge influence on your career, was the great Arthur Beetson.
Fantastic, bro. What he brought to the team, apart from his reverence, it's like having Darren Lockyer or Wally Lewis around, But Arthur had his own sort of special sort of spirit, particularly around the team, and what how he played and what he'd done previous to us, and obviously how he played in that 1980 game. He knew about football inside out, and obviously him teaming up with Wally Lewis was fantastic in the coaching sort of role. But he just had to look at you, and you knew your job you had to do, and we did it accordingly.
You played in some great sides throughout the 80s, Gator, but I consider probably one of the great teams was that 1988 team, clean swept the series. Take us through your memories from 88.
Well, look, I'm glad you said that, because that's one of my favourite memories too, because I've been recalled to the team, and I remember Wayne Bennett was coach, and he sat us all down and he said, listen, of course, Jack Gibson had just picked the best New South Wales team by all the reports from the media, that they were going to put the cleaners through us, and et cetera, and he sat us all down, and we're in sort of tiers, like in 3 tiers, because we just had a team photo done, and he said, righto boys, we've got a pretty hard job ahead of us here, looks like we're not even going to be playing, by the way the media keep talking about us, but we just remember what we have got. We've got skill, we've got good leadership, we've got good form, and he said the 2 most important guys to do the job is Martin Bella and Sammy Bacco, and he said, we want you guys to lead the way. He said, Marty, you've got a little bit too much to say sometimes. I just want you to unscrew your brain and do what you do best and take that ball forward. And he sort of panned his way across the big Sammy Bacco, and he said, Sam, I don't know what's in there sometimes in that brain, but you just do what you do best and take that ball forward. Yeah, it's funny, those couple of comments, but really that sort of set the scene for us. He said, righto, let's go. And then, look, as history tells us, mate, we went through 3-0, which was a wonderful indictment on the whole team effort, and particularly Tosser Turner and Arthur Beeson, and obviously Wayne Bennett being the coach and the way he does things.
Yeah, it was certainly a great series. Just quickly, we've previously had Turtle Konescu and Phil Daly on the show talking about the incident, but you played in that game too. It's the 25th anniversary of Game 2 back in '88. It, of course, was famous for an incident when Turtle got some time in the bin, and then the King Wally got some time in the bin, and then the Cairns started to come on the field. Tell us about that experience playing in that game.
Well, actually, I just happened to be just behind the marker when that, and obviously I think the King remonstrated with the referee, and then he was marched off, and down come the reign of Cairns, and they were all full. I couldn't believe it. So don't forget, those are sort of aluminium cans, and so if you threw them hard enough, they only went about 5 metres, but these things are being by projectiles from 30 metres away. So it was quite an experience, and they're all sort of raining down on us, and I thought, gee, the game might be called off here. I really didn't know what to think about it at all. But it was actually a very integral time, because New South Wales was just starting to get the edge on us, I thought. And when Turtle was sin bin and then the King, we just battled together. You know, we sort of we looked at each other, had a few chats, particularly in the forwards. The King did his sort of usual leadership chat, and we really kicked from then on in the rest of the game and come out winners.
Yeah, it certainly was. Went on to win that game 16-6, and then the final game 38-22. Before we let you go, Gator, I just want to touch on your time with Redcliffe. We're big Redcliffe fans here at the station. You come to the Finns in 1978 from Rome, and I guess it's a great touch that in Country Week the Dolphins are taking their home game back to Roma in August. Of course, I guess very special time for you, your time at the Dolphins.
Yeah, so look, I tell you what, one of the wonderful things I had at the Dolphins when I first arrived was the mentoring from guys like, you know, Greg Oliphant, Tony Bob Jones, you know, Ian Tiny. They had sort of such a great sort of team, which were around about sort of 8 to 10 years older than me, and they really sort of put you in, you know, you knew where you stood within the team environment. But most importantly, they really it was all about respect, you know, doing your best, having a good attitude, you know, and that was really attitude and courage is one of those the things that sort of all the other traits come from, if you think about it. And so that was a wonderful thing, and they all played tough, and look, it's sort of just one of those things that suited me, and I was in the right place at the right time, and it was a great grounding for me as a player, it really was.
We could talk about your career all day, Dolphins and Queensland. I certainly could spend plenty of hours talking to you about Gator, but I know you're a busy man. You've got a plane to catch. We really enjoy it, and we thank you for joining us on SportsFeva this morning, and go the Mighty Maroons tonight.
My word, and it's an absolute pleasure, and obviously I'm a country boy at heart, and that sort of never leaves you. And I really appreciate the chat, and let's go those Mighty Maroons.
Good on you, Gator. Thanks for your time again this morning, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Bye now.
The man they call a Gator, the great Wally Fulham-Smith, second rower for Queensland from 1983 through to 1990, playing in 12 games for the Mighty Maroons, Wally Fullerton-Smith. He might have been born in Britain, this man, but he grew up around Maruka in Brisbane. Billy Thorpe. Most people I know. Another great Queensland band there, as we said, the go-betweens, streets of your town. Now, time to talk about the game a little bit more in depth, and joining me on the line, a real rugby league student. He's from the Courier Mail, and joining me on the line is Chris Gary. Good morning to you, Chris.
Hi, Matthew. How are you, mate?
Mate, very excited, mate. Can't wait for State of Origin, heading into the Caxton around 3 p.m. this afternoon to soak up the atmosphere, and then off to Suncorp Stadium to watch the Mighty Maroons do battle with those dirty, rotten New South Welshmen.
That's great stuff, mate. It's going to be a fantastic day. I was just out this morning, actually, and you can already see people having breakfast with their jerseys on, mate, so everyone's pumped.
Mate, there is a real good feeling out there this morning. Now, turning our attention to the game proper, as we know, New South Wales got the better of the Queensland, beat them fair and square in Game 1. Queensland have made a few changes, I guess fair to say, un-Queensland-like in dropping a few players in Ashley Harrison and David Chillington. Your thoughts on the changes, Chris?
Mate, I love them, actually. I think they're fantastic. And we have to remember that last year, 2012, the Queensland team played below standard. Yes, we won the series, but, I mean, Cameron Smith admitted as much recently, saying that it was the worst performance series-wise from this Queensland team during the streak. And the selectors have taken that into consideration. It wasn't just Game 1, it was 2012 as well. They looked back at those games and thought, well, let's be honest here, some of these guys are playing on reputation. And I was speaking to one senior Queensland official last week, just off the record, who told me that looking back, that game one team they picked with those guys in Shillington and Harrison, that they were picking just based on reputation, and they looked back at that and thought that was a major misstep, and we should have been looking at guys that are in form, and that's what Josh Papali and DCE are. They're two of very few Queenslanders that in the NRL this year are actually really carving up on the field week in, week out.
Yeah, they certainly bring something different to that side, don't they? Daly Terry Evans in particular just adds that extra little bit of spark off the bench, I think, which we lacked in game one.
Yeah, exactly, mate. And I think look for Daly Cherry to come on probably about the 60 minutes mark, maybe a bit earlier, and get about 20-25 minutes. And from what I understand, he'll be playing on the right edge, so he'll be roaming in, I guess, the traditional back rows role. But instead of just carting the ball forward, they'll go to him on the right edge and look for something, whether it's a chip over the top or, you can ball play on that right edge, and then he'll come into the first receiver as well on the fifth tackle and take some pressure off Cooper Cronk late in the game.
And the other debutant we spoke of, and you said he's been in great form for the Canberra Raiders, Josh Papali, and I'll tell you what, New South Wales, I think they'll be looking out of the corner of their eye if they see Papali looming up, because when he hits you, you stay hit.
That's exactly right, mate. He's what Papali's amazing at is he's still learning defensively as well. He told me last week that the hit he put on Jamie Buhrer a few weeks ago, which has been replayed ad nauseum, he actually stuffed that up. Like he actually went off the wrong foot, and he still absolutely smashed Buhrer and took him into the next suburb. So he's still learning defensively, but his raw power is incredible. And you're right, the Bullies players will be avoiding him. That's why they've picked Papali, because they know that they've heard through the channels that NRL players, when they go and attack and they see Papali, they submit in the tackle. They don't want to challenge him. They just submit, hoping not to get smashed.
And how do you see the game unfolding as a whole tonight, Chris?
Mate, I see Queensland winning and winning comfortably, to be honest. I think they're going to come out and really have an intensity that we haven't seen from them in several seasons. I mean, they've sort of been getting it done the last couple of years, been playing well, but they've been losing, they've been conceding the first try, and they haven't really been pumped up in the first half. And I think they're really going to come out pumped up, and I think they're going to score early points, and my tip is Jonathan Thurston for man of the match, and perhaps something like a 24-14 scoreline or something like that.
That sounds pretty good to me, Chris. And what do you make of the fight? Of course, we've seen the Gallen versus Miles fight in game one, and there's been rule changes heading into game two. How do you see that unfolding?
Oh, I can't see there being a biff. I just think there's far too much. There's far too much almost pressure to fight that I think they'll avoid it. I'm sure there'll be a couple of scuffles and a melee, but it'll be very AFL style. I can see players squaring off and deciding not to throw, because the risk is too much. If you get sin binned 10 minutes out of the game, reducing your team to 12 men, whether you're a blue or a maroon, that's just too much risk.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we seen last year, 2012, New South Wales lost a player in game one, and we lost a player in game two, and results, went according to the players being sent to the sin bin. So it's just too much to lose a player in State of Origin, and I think you're exactly right. We'll see a few players shape up, but I doubt we'll see a punch thrown in anger tonight. But I like where you're thinking and the scoreline. I'm pretty sure you're around the mark, and hopefully Queensland can get the victory tonight. I know you're a huge fan of the Intrust Super Cup, and you cover off on the Intrust Super Cup. I know we're big Queensland, we're big Redcliffe fans here at the station. You declared us earlier in the year, Chris. We haven't really lived up to expectations.
No, and John Dixon's reminded me of that a couple of times. Yeah, it's interesting. I think my oversight in predicting you guys for premierships was the depth. I didn't really look through it at the guys you had coming through. Without being disrespectful to some of the players in the team, there's quite simply a lack of depth at the Redcliffe club, and with a couple of injuries, they've had to call on some guys who perhaps aren't quite ready. And it's showing on the field. There's some rumours also about some discontent among the players. I'm not sure exactly the nature of those, but players, I'm told, are really looking to get out of Redcliffe. Perhaps not so much because they're annoyed at the coach or the team, but they just want to try new things. And there's just, I think that Redcliffe, they have underperformed, and I can't see them. I think I've got it completely wrong. I can't see them even making the grand final this year.
And of course, it went from bad to worse on the weekend for the Dolphins, losing the game and also losing promising young playmaker Zach Strasser to a broken collarbone. So things not looking good on the peninsula for the Finns. What do you make of the rest of the competition? Obviously, Northern Pride have been impressive, and they sit atop the premiership ladder at the moment.
Yeah, they've been fantastic under new coach Jason Demetrio, who's come in from he's come over from England, and he's brought a couple of players with him in Semi Tabulala and Sam Obbs, and they've all come over here, and they're doing fantastically well, much better than I think most people would have thought. They're always thereabouts, the Pride, but to be clear competition leaders at this stage and knocking over top team after top team, they look like specials for the premiership. But the other team that's really coming home strong are East Tigers. They've had a couple of really good wins in the last 3 weeks. They did lose against the Capris a fortnight ago, but they had a great win last weekend, and they look really strong, and I think they'll sneak into that finals, and from there, with those Storm players in their ranks, they could do some major damage.
Yeah, they certainly do look impressive when they get those Storm players back in their ranks. And a team you just mentioned, and it seems strange mentioning a team overachieving that is sitting in second last place on the ladder, but I've been impressed by the Central Capras this year. Chris, fair to say they're a team of no-names made up of a lot of just Central Queensland club players, but geez, they've punched above their weight this year.
Yeah, Matthew, they certainly have. It's been fantastic to see, to be honest. I think there's a whole competition this season has been one of the best in recent years, just through the unpredictability. Each week you're not quite sure who's going to win. Even Sunshine Coast have caused a couple of boilovers, and the Capras under Jason Hetherington have been excellent. You're right, it's weird to think they are second last on the ladder, but everyone thought they'd win maybe 1 or 2 games all year. At this stage, they look like they might end up winning 5 or 6. So they're doing really well, and they've got a great young fullback there in Cameron Munster, who's only 18. He's recently signed with the Storm. He was chased pretty hard by a few clubs, including the Broncos, but really wanted to learn under Billy Slater the roles of fullback. And I understand the Storm, they see him also as potentially a 5'8", and we'll be giving him a trial to see if he's up to replacing Gareth Widdop next year. That's how confident they are. He's certainly not first choice. Ben Hampton, who debuted last week, would be first choice to replace Widdop, who was going to St George. But Munster's in the mix. He's likely to make an NRL debut next year.
Yeah, he certainly is a talent. Looks like a big future ahead of him. We know you're a busy man this morning, Chris, on State of Origin morning. We better let you go, but we thank you so much for your in-depth analysis of the State of Origin and also the Intrust Super Cup. Hope you have a great day, and I hope you're spot on with your prediction Queensland winning tonight.
Me too, mate. Thanks for that, Matthew. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Chris. Cheers. Chris Gary there from the Courier Mail giving us his in-depth thoughts on how State of Origin will unfold tonight, tipping the Queenslanders to win convincingly and also throwing out the Northern Pride as premiership specials in the Intrust Super Cup. It's now 19-9 here on our State of Origin SportsFeva special on 101.5. And now, how about a boy from Bow Desert? No, not former Origin player Andrew G. It's Rick Price with his version of Walk Away Renee. Gold Coast girl Ricky Lee with Raining Diamonds. It's 11-9. You're listening to the State of Origin SportsFeva special here on 101.5. Only 11 minutes to go to full time on the State of Origin special, though, and we're playing all Queensland music from 8 till 9 to celebrate the Mighty Maroons as they try and keep the series alive tonight. Kick-off will be about 10 past 8, coverage by Channel 9, and so tune in tonight to watch the Maroons do battle. Look, if you don't have tickets to the game, get along, if you've got a few free hours this afternoon, get along to Caxton Street and just soak up the atmosphere before the game. It is a magical place. As Caxton Street just before the game. Get along, there'll be people singing songs, and there'll be plenty of Maroon jerseys. It is just a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Well, once every year anyway. Just get along. If you've never been, just go and soak up that atmosphere, spend a couple of hours. I think there'll be big screens up in the game, in the streets as well if you don't have tickets to the game. But it is a great place to be pre-Origin and particularly after Origin too. If the Mighty Maroons salute, it's an even better place. It's a magical feeling, is Caxton Street, and I really encourage you, if you've never been to Caxton Street before an Origin game, get along and soak up the atmosphere. It is an amazing, amazing place. Now, we'll keep these Queenslander tunes going. We better play one from the Caboolture boy. Of course, not me, but Keith Urban, Without You. 9 minutes to 9 here on 101.5. The kid from Caboolture, Keith Urban, Without You. 6 minutes to 9 here on our State of Origin Sports Fever special on 101.5 as we draw to a close. The full-time siren is about to go here on our special tonight. Best of luck to the mighty Queenslanders as they do battle with New South Wales tonight. For the record, I'm tipping Queensland by 13. I think we'll win 25-12. A couple of early tries. It looked for a huge game from GI. Greg Inglis, I think he'll got a couple of tries in him. I think he's a good thing for first try scorer as well. Big GI and again, all our Moreton Bay juniors in our team, of course, Brent Tate, Matty Gillette and Daly Cherry Evans, of course, all from the Moreton Bay region initially. Best of luck to those boys. Best of luck to the whole Queensland tie. Let's belt those New South Welshmen tonight. And whatever you're doing tonight, hope you enjoy your State of Origin evening. And a big thank you to all our guests today. The great Wally Fullerton-Smith, the man they call a Gator, Origin legend with Queensland from 1983 through to 1990. Also a Redcliffe Dolphin and a St George Dragon, Wally Fullerton-Smith, and also Chris Gary from the Courier Mail for his in-depth look at the game tonight. Thank you to those two gentlemen. I'll now play a couple more Queenslanders. We've got the Veronicas and Kate Miller-Hodke, Albany Creek Girls, the Veronicas, and Brizzy Girl, Kate Miller-Hodke, to lead us up to the national news. I'll see you again next Thursday.